Good evening, everyone. It is Monday night. We're back with our Monday night shows. Thanks for watching. Tonight, we're going to be starting out a kind of a different segment for a lot of you. You've been hearing us talk about weddings and talking about the DJ side of it. Well, we're going to start talking a little bit about photo booths because those are pretty cool and they're something that a lot of you are having questions about. So we're going to start that off tonight. I've got Eric Berry. Eric, good evening.
Good evening. How's it going?
It's going well. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Absolutely.
Eric's going to be talking to us about the MediaBooth Pro, and that's something that he kind of came up with here about 5 years ago. Eric, for those who are unfamiliar, let's kind of give, what brought you to the creation of the MediaBooth Pro.
Absolutely. So my background's a little bit different. I was in the financial services sector for quite a while and then found myself in the photography world. Doing that for about 14, 15 years, and about 5 years ago, I had a huge need for a photo booth. I was kind of tired of everyone asking about it. And not really having a solution. So I kind of looked into it. I was a buyer of photo booths and a little bit disappointed with what I found. So I decided to create my own, and somehow that became a product. And now we've been doing trade shows for 4 years and we're selling it throughout the country, and it's gone great. We just got the cover of a national photography magazine, which we're very proud of as an Editor's Choice Award. So now we're selling to DJs, photographers, event planners, pretty much everyone who needs a photo booth.
For sure. Then there's quite a lot of people are adding it, whether I've got a couple of venues who have added it as their personal option. I mean, it's just something that, and I have a friend who basically got out of the DJ and is strictly photo booth now. That's all that he and his wife do.
Absolutely.
It's really become a very nice business for them that they've been able to do. We could jump in and start talking about it, but I wonder if we should get into, we've got that little video, that little demo, or that little sample video that will kind of show a little bit, and then we can kind of talk about what we're seeing here. So gang, we're going to switch over to a different player here so you guys can see what we're seeing here, and yeah, you're going to see the mouse on it. So Eric, I'm going to back this video up, and we're going to do the introductory video, and they're going to hear no, they're not going to hear the audio, they're going to hear us. So I'm going to get it to the point where it shows exactly what we're looking at, because we're looking at all the happy people right now.
Right. So basically, this was set up at a wedding. What's great about our booth is you really don't need any electricity. It can all run on internal battery if you want it to. So if you're in an environment that is just beautiful, out in the open, in a barn, which is part of what this video is, you can just set it up, you drop it down, and then you go about what your real job is. So whether that is being the DJ, being the MC, being the photographer, the booth kind of runs itself, and you don't have to worry about, gaff tape and taping down all these wires everywhere. And that generally lasts for about 5 hours or so before you start to need to change batteries.
I'm going to try to get a picture of it here. There's a couple of different pictures. I paused on one.
Yeah.
I want to try to get the one where it was up against a wall.
Oh yes.
The guests are up against the wall there, and the tape. For those of you watching, this is part of the live web experience. Eric can't see what you guys are seeing and what I'm seeing. Unfortunately, he's having to follow along. So it looks like now it has. I'm looking, and it looks like it has two LED.
Absolutely.
They're not flashes, are they?
They're not. So the reason that we have two very high-powered LED lights is because we also do video. It's not just a photo booth anymore.
Oh, nice.
The entire industry, and I'm speaking as a photographer, it's all going to motion. If you see Facebook now, videos are starting to take the top echelon of people's timelines. Video is where it's at. And so if you don't have good constant lighting, your video isn't going to look good.
Right.
And so those lights are so powerful as well that it can easily do photography. And in the booth, the screen, when a user comes up to it, we can set it up so it's simply ask them, do you want to take a video for the bride and groom, or do you want to take a photo for the bride and groom? And let the user decide what they want to do. So two LED lights. Oftentimes, I don't really want to bog myself down with being a photo booth because I have another job to do.
Right.
I'm shooting the bride, or someone is, spinning the music. So I won't bring a backdrop. I'll find either a very elaborate background and put it in front of it, or in the case of the video you were just watching, a very plain background, because most photo booths typically are a monocolor background. It's just pure white or pure black. So unless the client pays a little extra for it, I'm just going to use the environment as a background to make my life easier, so I can do what my true job is, which is not a photo booth.
So that leads me to a question, and you and I are back live on the screen now, and we'll bounce back and forth. As we're looking at the device, you said that you can set it up and basically walk away. Now, what kind of is there any kind of a maintenance? Do I have to have a second person with me, or is it something that can be a standalone?
It's a great question. It can definitely be a standalone, but I try to tell people that you should have someone there. It can be an intern. It doesn't have to be anyone who knows anything about photography. It's really, I call them my ambassador. Because when you're working, if you're behind the booth, if you're behind the camera, you can't really engage the clientele like you'd like. You can't market to them. But if you have a photo booth and the entire crowd at one point or another is going to come in front of it, it's great to have that person there that just says, hey, we're the DJ company, we're not the photo booth, or we're the photo booth company, or we're the photographers. Anything to engage, because what happens is 2 or 3 times out of that gig, someone's going to say, oh, well, what other kind of events do you guys do? Or can I have a business card?
Right.
My brother's getting married. So to have someone there, it's really for sales. It's, again, I can bring it back to what I call them. They're ambassadors. To engage, to have that opportunity to have that many people that are a warm audience is very unusual for what we do in events. We're always working. We can try to say hi to people, but we can't sell. So to have someone there, I find it to be amazing. I get so many referrals just out of having someone there introduce themselves and hand a card.
As you're describing that person, one of the things I would think of is I need to have someone that's very tech savvy, but you're probably not needing as tech savvy as much as you need someone who is a little bit outgoing and a little bit charismatic but someone who's friendly and approachable.
Exactly. Gregarious. Someone, because people who come in front of a photo booth, they're ready to have fun. Oftentimes there's an open bar that has been going on. So they have a little bit of confidence in them. And they come in front of the photo booth. They want to talk to someone. They want to have fun. And the fact that this photo booth isn't enclosed in a black shroud, other guests at the wedding can egg them on and have fun. And it becomes a very social event. And to have that person there just kind of, telling them perhaps to get a little more energy, or here's some props, or, say this or say that. It just creates that dialogue that every salesperson would love to have.
For sure. That's a great point. For those of you who are doing photo booth or thinking about it, that'll give you an idea of what that second person, if you're looking for that. Eric, we have a couple of questions, and then we'll get back into it. Somebody was asking about what software do you run?
Absolutely. So the software that we run, we didn't want to be a software manufacturer. That's incredibly difficult to be. It's and so we license the software from probably the largest provider in the industry. It's called Darkroom Booth 2.
Nice.
One of the reasons that we took them is they're out of Texas. So if there's ever a question that we can't handle, something that's beyond the software, that is driver related with a computer or some sort of operating system question, there's actually someone down in Texas that picks up the phone for us. And what we found out is a lot of our competitors who don't license software, that create their own, it's incredibly expensive. And what happens is the users actually have to license the software from the photo booth company. So they buy the photo booth and they pay $100 a month just to maintain the software. And we get to avoid that simply by letting another company do all of the updating, all of the creation and fielding, technical questions. So it works out great for us. We get the preeminent software at a very affordable price, and we get to be the manufacturer, not a software designer.
And then the next question I have is there an option for an external flash?
Yes. So what you didn't see on the videos, and if you go to my website, we just created a wireless Ttl Flash. Nice. That comes with all of our brand new booths. One of the things that was important to us is to have a TTL, and what that means for those who aren't familiar with photography, it's called through the lens, meaning that the camera decides how much flash to put on your subject. So there's no manual settings. There's no, in the photography world, there's no lighting ratios. The camera can see the subject and it determines how much light to throw on it. And because it's radio frequency, people can move it around off of the booth. It's actually magnetic. It sits on top of our booth. But if you want to get creative, you just take it off the booth. You can put it behind people, and that creates kind of like a rim lighting or a halo lighting.
Yeah.
You can put it to the side, which is called Rembrandt lighting. So, we wanted something small and something portable so that it's not just the straight on flash. So it doesn't look like you and I do now, just light straight on at us. As a photographer, it's not something that I enjoy. You need directional light. So we definitely now, for the past year, all of our booths come with a portable radio frequency flash that sits on top.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, let's jump to. I want to jump to the next video. We're going to do the one I believe that was on the Las Vegas Strip.
That was an experience.
So tell us a little bit about how this one came about.
Yeah. So we've been exhibiting, like I said, for the past 4 years. And this one was about 2 years ago, which you won't see the flash because it was before the flash. I just decided, you know what, let's show off how we don't need electricity and that it only takes about 60 seconds to set up. So I just brought it to the Vegas Strip. I stopped in front of the New York. I had a colleague shoot the video of me setting it up. And very quickly, it was up and going, and we were just asking people to come on over and to get their photo taken. So what you notice, there's no printer with us. What's great about our booth, and actually many of our competitors, the whole industry is social media savvy now. So
yes.
People were coming to the booth, they were emailing, they were texting, they were posting to Facebook. So they didn't really need that physical print, even though, it's nice to offer the physical print. You don't have to. You don't have to make your job harder, especially when you have another job to do at the event. So we stayed out there for about 5 or 6 groups of people, and then what looked like stormtroopers came up.
Yes. Yep. We just saw them.
And I figured, that's a good time to go back into the hotel, to call it quits. And say we had a lot of fun. We showed off the battery power and the ease of setup, and it was time to go back to the real world a little bit.
So now the stormtroopers in that particular picture were standing back. Goodness, it looked like they were about 12 to 15 feet away. What is the kind of suggested distance to be able to have decent lighting and such for the video?
So what's great about it, it's running inside on a legitimate camera. It's a DSLR, and even if you put it on auto, people can stand as far away as they want to because the camera is going to take over the exposure. So the farther you get away from a light source, the darker it's going to get. But the camera knows that because it's looking at you. So it will change the exposure, make it lit well. And that's great when you expect to have 20 or 15 people. The reason they were so far away on the Vegas Strip and why we set it up this way is we wanted those hotels in the background. We wanted the gorgeous lights. We didn't want to have someone as close as I am right now. We wanted to show the environment. And basically we put the camera on auto and let it do the heavy lifting. We just kind of plopped it down and let it do its job.
And by watching in the video, it looks like the screen then must be a touch screen, and that's where they were interfacing with everything?
Absolutely. So another thing that's new in the past year or two, we're now using the Microsoft Surface Pro line of computers. So it's definitely not a tablet. It's running a legitimate computer. A lot of people say, is it Mac compatible? And unfortunately, it's not, because Apple does not actually have a touchscreen computer that's robust enough. They have the iPad Pro, but that's not really a computer. We do video, we can green screen, we can do animated GIFs and photographs. So you need something with a lot of power. So we're shipping out i5 processors inside this computer, and it works great. And it allows people to interact just by touch.
Very nice. Yeah, that looked like it was quick and easy, and folks were able to do what they needed to do with that.
Seamless. And I think on that video, I had set it up to just accept email addresses, but we could have had it text the image or the video to their phone. What's great about the email address is we actually get to retain that email address, so it becomes a marketing tool. So if you can retain that email, what I often do, and I tell my booth owners, is just follow up a week later and say, hey, it looked like you had fun at so-and-so's wedding or event. Here's the full resolution image of that little strip that you got. Hey, if you ever need a DJ, if you ever need a photographer in the future, just think of us. And people love to get pictures of themselves. So it's ingrained in that. They love that. And then they'll post it to Facebook. Our logo's going, or your logo, whoever is running the booth goes with that image. So it becomes a sales tool. I love to harness email addresses. It's great.
For sure. Yeah, that's a great way to be in contact.
Absolutely.
So for someone who is just wanting to start out now, they haven't, they're hemming and hawing if this is an option to go. What is, and I have a couple of aspects to this. If they place an order, how long does it take to get the unit?
So we typically have it in stock. We're coming out of the East Coast. So we're usually from purchase to delivery is somewhere around a week to 10 days.
Okay.
It's very quick. We're very proud that it's completely made here in the US. Obviously, except for the internal components, which is, the Microsoft computer, the cameras, all of that stuff obviously is made overseas. But the actual enclosure, it's all metal, it's all aluminum, it's all hand welded here in the US. So that was important to me. It makes it a little bit more expensive, but it allows me to interact with my manufacturer and just be able to deliver much quicker than I would if I had to rely on shipments, coming via ship. It's basically about 100 miles from where I am now is where someone is sitting down welding it for me.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Once I've taken delivery, now what's the learning curve to get up and running with them?
It's a great question. The biggest thing that we hear are folks that are used to Apple computers, and that's in pretty much every creative industry. Apple is very, very popular. That's the toughest part. Someone learning the Windows 10 environment. I tell people if you can just focus for one day on the Windows environment, it's very similar to the Apple. There's a browser, there's an applications folder. It's just in different places.
Yeah.
Having said that, once you get over the Windows environment, the software, probably 2 days of video tutorials, working with us here in Boston, we're able to, which I know a lot of people are able to do, is we take over your desktop and we show you around the program. We say, okay, do you want to add your logo somewhere? And our tech guys here, they just take over your desktop, show you how to put in a logo. So the learning curve, I think, is really, really quick. And if you're not one of those folks that like to interact, that wants to learn on their own, there's a plethora of videos that just take you through every aspect of the software and the hardware.
So that was a question they were talking about, the tech support. I'm going to phrase it in my question because you were just talking about you guys having tech support. Is that something that's included with every photo booth, or is that something an additional purchase?
No, not at all. So every photo booth purchase, basically you get an hour one-on-one. And sometimes that's just on the phone. Sometimes people want us to take over their desktop like I was talking about. And just do it remotely and just walk them through every aspect of it. And I'd say after that 1 hour, many of our owners, they call us maybe once a month with a different question or a different idea, and we try to figure out a solution for them. But we're very hands-on. We're a small company, so that allows us to really interact with our owners and just have that kind of two-way conversation to provide the best customer service that we possibly can.
In the video, we saw, of course, without a printer, that it was the battery powered and you were out there doing your thing. Is that, are people buying just the unit, and is there enough social media aspects or enough people have that the printers are not needed all the time, or is it something that you need to buy a printer too?
It's a great question. What we're finding a lot, it comes down to the age demographic. Some of my younger couples, predominantly I'm a wedding person, so when I talk about clients, it's usually at weddings. My younger couples could care less about the tangible print. It breaks my heart, but I would so we don't need printing. We want our guests to text it to their cell phone, email it to themselves, post to Facebook. We can have it automatically post to a Facebook event page that is just their wedding. That tends to be what's important to them. Now, when I start to shoot corporate events, perhaps in front of a step and repeat background, corporations want you to have that tangible print.
Right.
They'll have their logo on it. It might be a coupon. It's some way to get in touch with the company. Most people don't throw away something with their face on it.
Yes.
So if there's a client that really wants something in someone's hands, they're going to put it on that photo booth strip or that 4x6 or that 6x8. They can print any size. But they're the ones who are going to ask for prints more so than the wedding couples. But that, I'm blown away. Sometimes I have a very young couple that say they just want prints. They want prints. They want to put it in an album. They don't care about social media. But that's usually the minority.
So when you're having the people who are getting it without the printer, they're going to be going to social media. Are you taking still the traditional 4 pictures and doing it in a strip fashion, or is it just taking one image, or is it image or video?
Right. So it can be either image or video. We often say at events, the video takes a lot of bandwidth. So if anything, we tell our owners to say, okay, just give people a 5-second clip to say something, to do something. Anything longer than that, it's going to be a great Wi-Fi connection to be posting all these videos. What's great inside the software, you can determine what kind of resolution you're going to send up. So oftentimes at an event, I'll make it low resolution. I want it to look great on a screen, great on a phone, but not really great on a TV, a TV or on a print. And so that's the way that we do it is, we make it a size that's easy to go to social media. And people seem to enjoy it.
Very nice. Very nice. Just checking the chat room here if there's any other last questions.
Sure.
So somebody asked about an iPad. Could it be used with the social media station with that?
Great question again. Awesome questions. There's a lot of great questions. Our software has the capability to hook up wirelessly to an iPad. So what that means is that the person steps in front of the photo booth, they do their video, they do their photo, and instead of then typing on the photo booth their email address or their cell phone, it allows people to actually move to the side, move 20 feet over and put all that information into an iPad. So it's workflow now. You don't want, Aunt Betty sitting in front of, a photo booth trying to type out her email because it's probably going to take a long time for her.
For sure.
So the software provides an IP address. So long as you have Wi-Fi, you just type in that IP address on a browser on an iPad, and the interface pops up and has all the pictures that were taken. The user just clicks on the picture, and they determine what to do with it next. They email it, they print it, they text it, they Facebook it. So it's the iPad integration is a great way to move people along. You don't want people sticking in front of the booth for too long. You want to keep them moving.
Can it do multiple iPads? I think I have heard people ask that question in the past where they could have, the first group goes to the right and the second group goes to the left.
Yep, you can do multiple iPads. What's even great too is it can also go to a smart TV. So if you have some sort of TV setup, it can be playing a slideshow as well at the exact same time. So that, say it's above your booth, a nice looking TV, it's just going to scroll through all the fun pictures that are being taken throughout the night. So there's a whole lot of fun stuff. And at that same point, with the same IP address, you can control the booth with a cell phone. So if all of a sudden there is a toast coming up, you can disable the photo booth so that people aren't being raucous and having fun. You want to take it down a notch, or if some folks don't quite get what a photo booth is, you can trigger the photos right from your cell phone. So the Wi-Fi integration is great. We say if you're at a venue that doesn't have great Wi-Fi, a hotspot is great. When I go to my expos, when I'm exhibiting, we just use a simple Verizon hotspot, and because we're doing low-res images, it's fine.
How much bandwidth would you use if you're going to be using this for 3 hours? And it's going to be used pretty heavy with a combination of the short video and photos.
So one thing I say is today, if no one's aware of it, Verizon just started unlimited bandwidth. There definitely was some bandwidth issues. You had to have a pretty good account in the old days, meaning yesterday. And now that's not really an issue any longer. If it is an issue, again, if the Wi-Fi isn't good, I'd stick to photography. Just the traditional photo strips, whether it's 1 picture, 3 pictures, 4 pictures. The video can boggle you down if you don't have a good connection. So bandwidth, it's up to the event and what you have programmed into the computer. If you're doing 1 picture, it's very little. If you're doing 5 or 6 pictures, it gets a little bigger bandwidth. And if you're doing video, it gets even larger than that. So you kind of just have to take where you are, what the connection is like, and go from there.
Yeah, for sure. And hopefully most of the venues nowadays have a good
Right.
internet connection, so that's a non-issue.
And what we often recommend is, as a vendor, usually the venues trust us enough and we say, hey, can we join your secured network? We don't want to be on the public network, because people are using it all night long. It's not that strong anyway. Hey, can we just use your internal Wi-Fi network? And that we kind of get some really strong signal by saying that. And if you have a relationship with the venue, it's usually it's not contested. They just give you the password and you get right on.
Very nice, very nice. Um, Next question, which is kind of leading to where we were going to be wrapping up. Will you be at Photo Booth Expo?
Absolutely. So that is an amazing show. The past couple of years, not only been exhibiting at the Photo Booth Expo, but I'm actually a speaker, a platform speaker there. So my subject that I love to do is basically, it's called "You Have a Photo Booth Business, Now Treat It Like a Business." I like the business aspect of things. So a lot of questions that people have is, well, how do I protect myself as a business? Am I an incorporation? Am I LLC? What kind of insurance? How do I market? How do I make a price list? How do I compete? How do I stand, out from the crowd? So that's what I try to focus on is, how to have a great business. Because if you don't have a good business, your product is going nowhere. You can be the best photographer, the best DJ in the world, but if you can't talk to your clients, if you can't meet their expectations, and if you can't protect your business, you're not going to go anywhere.
For sure, that's something that we definitely believe in a lot here on our channel, because we have,
Yeah.
and I know the nights we're talking business and some sales, some people kind of like, oh, you're not talking about that again, but it's so key.
You don't have a business without the business background.
That's for sure. Let's see, and they were. Will you have units for sale at the show, or is everything going to be drop ship?
So everything's going to be drop shipped. So if you can imagine, it's kind of tough to get to these trade shows with a product that can stand as high as I can stand. It has very expensive components, computers, lights, DSLR cameras. So we have everything in stock. When we go to these shows, we typically offer some sort of a discount. We also offer free shipping. Whereas the booth is very light, our booth is only 35 pounds, but the case that we sell it in, it's a rolling ballistic plastic case, actually weighs more than the booth. So to bring 10 or 15 70-pound cases with us to Las Vegas, it's not really that feasible. So we're generally ready to ship as soon as we get home from the show, and most people see it within a week.
Very nice, very nice. Just checking to see if we missed anything. Website. Let's make sure we have the information so they can get in touch with you.
Yep. So our website is MediaBoothPro.com. It's all one word. Again, MediaBooth Pro. And the impetus for naming it that company is the media side of it. It's no longer photo booths.
Yeah.
It's all media. It's the motion. It's the social media. And basically, I wanted to be pro because this isn't something that is fly by night. We want you to make money with it. One of the reasons I started the company or started looking for photo booths is I set something up on a tripod with a simple camera, with a simple light, and I charged someone a lot of money for it. And I remember them coming up to me and they said, well, my uncle could have done that. So to have something that looks sleek, that looks like you spent some money on it, it allows you to then charge a lot of money for it. So that's where the pro comes out. This is meant to be a money-making device, and it looks as such. So go to our website. We offer financing through a third-party financial institution. We have all the information you might need and all the accessories that you could possibly want as well.
Eric, you mentioned, of course, that you'll have a Photo Booth Expo special going on. If somebody's watching this after the Photo Booth Expo, they didn't get a chance to get there, is this something, if they call you, you guys can...
That's something, it depends if we sell out or not. So if we sell out, usually at the end of the show, the special doesn't really run anymore. Okay. Because now we're doing another run of manufacturing. I usually tell people before a show, that's probably the best time to get a hold of us. So as of right now, we have we just finished WPPI in Las Vegas. And we're about to do something called Exhibitor Live in Las Vegas, and then the Photo Booth Expo in Las Vegas. So right now, we kind of have our stock on hand. We're prepared to ship. So if someone calls in the next few weeks, then we say, we've got 50 on hand. We'd love to extend that discount to you before the show even starts. Whereas after the show, if we run out, then we really don't give too many discounts after that point.
Cool. So you guys could just give Eric a call and see where things are sitting, and tell him you saw this video, that you watched it on DJN TV, and then he can get you set up with a nice little photo booth.
Absolutely.
A photo media.
Yes.
There we go. Good stuff. Link is in the description below, gang. You guys can go check that out. Eric, thank you very much. I'll let you get back to the kids and get them all tucked in tonight.
Thank you so much, and it was great working with you, and I thank everyone for asking incredibly good questions. We love to have the good questions, and it sounds like that's what you guys have.
Yeah, they did. That's fun. We'll be back in about a half an hour tonight with our live photo booth chat. We'll see you then.
All right, take care.